All right, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, depending on where you are. Thank you so much for joining us here on VirtualRacing.Network and the coverage, live and uninterrupted, commercial-free, of the 2021 IndyCar iRacing Series. This is round 4, race number 2 of the week. This is the Indianapolis Grand Prix, and of course, the real-life guys and girls of the IndyCar series are out there at the moment, as well as their support series out there at the moment in the real-life Indianapolis Motor Speedway on their Grand Prix circuit, which is just a little bit different than this one that we see here on iRacing. This one's a little bit older. Nevertheless, it races great, features all the big parts of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, including the front straight past the iconic tower and pagoda and huge front straightaway grandstands. As we see Adam State there qualify in 4th position for today's race. And it's looking like Hugo Olsson has just taken 1st. And we're trying to keep up with who's putting in the fastest times out there. Henry Bennett now picking up the pace, coming in 2nd after his first lap. So we're looking at a 1:11.26 for Hugo Olsson on his first lap. So Adam Crane now tops him on his first lap with a 1:11.14. So exciting stuff as we see some of the bigger names here in the series starting to put their names onto the qualifying sheet here. And to finish our opening, before we jump in too far into qualifying, my name is Trevor Greenfield. I will be your commentator host, as I have been each and every week here so far on VirtualRacing.Network. And just pleased to be able to bring you this coverage. Before the season, it was apparent nobody was going to be doing coverage, and I'm so pleased that we jumped in to do it, because this gentleman right here, Hugo Olsson, has been putting on quite the display, as well as Henry Bennett, who just finished his 2nd lap and puts in his fastest time, a 1:11.11, to jump to the top. Adam Crane now finishing his 2nd lap. Will it be enough to eclipse Henry Bennett for the pole position? And it is a 1:10.90, the only driver to dip into the 1:10s. And I can tell you from personal experience, that is quite the lap time. That is a terrific time, a 1:10.9. So that is going to be your starting order. Mark Usher putting in a late flyer there on his 2nd lap to come in 4th. And it appears as though everyone else is done. So we end up with the running order there: Adam Crane, Henry Bennett, Hugo Olsson, Mark Usher, Moritz J. Hengelhop, Vilda Wallen, Willie Schwabar, and Adam State. Cesar Manzato making another appearance on the broadcast. Stefan McCready and Severi Seppa, another name, as well as Matthias Kraus, who follows him in 12th. A couple of names that we have been mentioning over and over again on this channel and on this broadcast of the series. And it's so great to see these same contenders coming back week in and week out. Now, a couple of surprises at the bottom. If you're paying attention to the championship at all, Chris Willite, unfortunately, must have had some sort of an incident. We didn't catch a lot of our off tracks. It doesn't really say that there were a lot of off tracks. But Chris Willite, Rob Unglenix, Laura Gerhardt, big names in the Thomas Ziegler. Also, surprised to see these drivers at the bottom. They may have had some issues. So, see if we can. I don't think it's gone quite official yet, so we can't show you the starting order. However, as you can see there at the top of your screen, it is none other than the championship leader, Adam Crane, besting Henry Bennett and Hugo Olsson. There we go. So we can see. Hopefully it got let's go back here. Always does this, wants to jump ahead. There we go. Adam Crane in first, Henry Bennett second, Hugo Olsson, Mark Usher, Moritz Hengelhop, Vilda Wallen, and then you can see the rest of the starting order as I was going through previously. So this race coming in at, I believe it was a 3,350 strength of field. So in effect, this is the highest strength of field race, eclipsing the Wednesday race, the first race of the week. So let's take a look at how that one ended up. Let's see here while we have a second. So as you can see here, once we get it up on the screen, there's none other than Adam Crane overcoming his nemesis in this series and also in other series, Henry Bennett, just by under 2 seconds. Quite a close result there. That was for Wednesday's race. And as such, that's actually going to lead us into our current championship points situation. Now, I should point out also that it was Henry Bennett who was on the pole of that first race, and it was Adam Crane who ended up in the winner's circle. Here we take a look at the current points, and you can see that it is, of course, Adam Crane who is leading Henry Bennett and Hugo Olsson. Now, Hugo, of course, having that terrific finish last week in our Texas broadcast, race number 2 of the week, and he just overcame the odds, held off all competition, and a fantastic charge from Chris Wellite at the end. But it was Hugo Olsson finding himself in victory circle and now sits third there in the points. So as we rejoin the live picture here, we get ready for the start. We take a look at, as we still have a little bit of time, we're just finishing up the end of, well, not really the end. We still have a couple more races to go until we're about the halfway point. Our next race will be, of course, the oval here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So that promises to be a lot of fun, and make sure that you tune in for the oval, because that's one of the biggest, it's going to be one of the biggest month of May celebration races that we have, because of course there are several different Indy 500s happening officially and non-officially over the course of not only May, but then the Open Wheels 500 in November. So as we get ready to go here, we join Adam Crane at the front. It is a pleasure to have you joining us. I see Thomas Christensen, I'm sure, rooting on his 3CR teammates if in the field. And then also Katrikala, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us over in the chat room on YouTube. Go Cesar Mandato, definitely one of the guys to watch in the field for sure. So Adam Crane taking his time coming down to the start here with Henry Bennett on the outside. Says we now have 10 viewers. That is awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, folks. Hope you enjoy this great race between some great IndyCar champions right here. The defending series champion Adam Crane throws his right foot down and leads the field to green. We are set for 65 laps of action. Looks like Hugo Olsson taking a look inside of Henry Bennett and gets around Lot of action further back. Just struggling to keep up with all the action. It looks like a couple of drivers have had some issues dropping a little bit further back here in the pack. And here's your leader, Adam Crane, up by just close to 1 second here. There we go. I had a little glitch on my technical end. Hopefully it didn't cost us too much TV time there. So Adam Crane, no problems, no surprise. Out front, leads the entire lap, not an issue. Hugo Olsson now in second place. Team Power Slide Motorsports there with Henry Bennett behind his teammate. Mark Usher still in fourth place. So Hugo Olsson did make that pass on the opening lap, and he's the only one of our top 8 positions that has actually made a pass. So you see Vilda Wallen holding strong in 6th. Willie Schabauer there in 7th, and Adam State in 8th. We move back to 9th place, and it is Stefan McCready who has managed to get around Cesar Manzato, thus far the driver favorite in our chat room. And Severi Seppa, 11th place, hanging on. Looks like trying to stay on the draft there. So then we get back to Dylan Reisel, who is up 4 positions and started in 12th now, or started in 16th, now finds himself in 12th. And now we see Mark Usher having an issue. See if we can see this. So here we go. This is just a moment ago. Mark Usher having an issue going in wide. Oh, and just makes contact there. Looks like with Moritz, who had just moved to go inside. And just a moment ago, while we were in that replay, we had a couple more. This was Willie Schwabauer having an off track here, it says. May just have clipped something. Oh, no, does get it wrong, and that was right in front, I believe, of Adam State. Then we had this as well, Brian Molitor having a moment. And spinning around there. Molitor in that good-looking All-American Racers livery. And let's see, Kevin DeWinter having a moment, it appears. Just, loses it. Comes back on track. Meanwhile, we've been away a little while, but nothing has really changed too much up in the front. It's still Adam Crane. And he's still putting time down on the rest of the field. 1.2 seconds separates him and Hugo Olsson. So we take a look from above. So we've got Hugo Olsson here, as I mentioned, about 1.2 seconds back. Hugo actually slightly faster than Adam that lap. 1:11.93 for Hugo. Henry Bennett just a little ways back down the order. Henry being pursued pretty quickly by Moritz. And then we have Vilda Wallen just about 2 seconds down the way. And you can see Vilda's got a little bit of a train happening. The three Crown Racing driver there with Adam State and Stefan McCready. And also not that far back, Cesar Manzato, who is actually up to 8th place now. So you can see him just entering the picture there. So we have another report of another incident, this time involving Max Wolf. And Wolf losing it there. So easy to do. These tires get heated up and then it's just right around we go. Real easy to overheat them. But no problems thus far for our leader, Adam Crane. Seems week in and week out that I say that, but sometimes that monster does jump up there and strike just when you're least suspecting it, maybe during a pit stop exchange or something. So more reason why these pros like Adam Crane, who's a champion, they know how to deal with that kind of thing if it comes up. They know how to mitigate issues should they arise during the race as best as they can. And again, that's just what makes them championship winners. So Hugo Olsson having quite a great championship run, currently sits in 3rd in the championship, now 2nd in this race. Hugo is, as you see, the 2020 Open Wheels 500 winner. And Team Powerslide Motorsports, one of their front drivers. And so it's always great to see Hugo participating because he's one of the few that can challenge the likes of Henry Bennett here or Adam Crane. Of course, Adam Crane with Satellite Racing, not as prolific of a team right now in the IndyCar community, but they are where it matters, and that's at the top of the order. So you can see Moritz is actually staying quite close on Henry Bennett there. We may be seeing a pass coming up. Go on board with Hengelop. And he closes ever so close. Meanwhile, there are a number of close other battles happening. This is Vilda Wallen, who I believe was just passed by Adam State. No, I take that back. Either way, Vilda following quite close behind Adam at this point, might be able to get a pass. And what am I seeing? Someone is experiencing issue. Axel Christian has just had an issue and has gone off track, losing a number of positions in the process. This is on board. And now we jump outside the camera, outside the car. What happened here? And it's almost that exact same place that we just saw. And of course, losing multiple positions in the process. Back with Vilda, who is still closing in on Adam State. This is onto the backstretch here. I do appreciate that we can watch this onboard footage from the cockpit and we're not exposing their ARB settings. Not that it matters that much, but it's always good that these drivers can at least keep their secrets confident. But you can see it says 10 pushes to pass on the wheel. I do believe that one is accurate. So it's possible Vilda has not used any of that push to pass left. Or has not used any of the push to pass. And in fact, confirming with my software that's true. So Vilda really not anxious to get by Adam State at this point. And so as we go back forward, we jump back out of the car and it looks like Moritz Engelhaupt still struggling to find the right place to get around Henry Bennett. And seeing here that Laszlo Sabo has actually crashed. This is a bit further back in the field. Looks like just taking a little too heavily, maybe. Yep, just kind of clipped it a little bit. Ended up losing 1, 2. Oh, that might have been the leader coming around as well. So, no. So, losing a couple of positions there, having to gather it back up. We take a look at this. It appears as though Laszlo Szabo has gone off yet again and been passed by a couple of more drivers for 20th position. So things going from bad to worse for Laszlo. Meanwhile, looking at the closest battles on track, it is lap 11. And, you know, let's go ahead and take a look at, we'll go back up here to show you the points, or excuse me, the gap here. And I apologize for not having the gap up in the ticker. Thank you for pointing that out. We'll get that going. There you go. That'll make it a lot easier to tell how far back your favorite driver is. If you're not following timing and scoring, that is something else that we will be featuring here on VirtualRacing.Network. We will give you a timing and scoring link. That is upcoming. I have quite a few different cool things planned for our coverage of this series going forward, so stay tuned. And it appears as though Moritz Engelhaupt, you just saw it there, getting around Henry Bennett down the front straightaway here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Put him into third with a legit pass on Henry Bennett. And we have news, not good news if you're a Vilda Wallin fan. You may want to cover your eyes. This was Vilda in 6th place. Oh no. Looks like got tagged from behind. We'll have to let's see if we can go back and see that again. And I'm not sure, again, maybe Vilda slowed a little bit too much, and they weren't expecting it. Either way, Vilda not crashing out, that's good news, and resumes currently in 10th position. So down 4 spots on the day. So let's go ahead and recap where we're at here. We've got Adam Crane out front, 13 laps down of 65. And by the way, let's take a look at some of the weather. So the current track temp is 40 degrees Celsius, which is quite warm. It's about 120 some degrees or so. So yeah, it's a little warm. But I was just out there doing the fixed Indy 500, which of course is coming up later on today, and tomorrow the race. I was doing the qualifying, and that was 133 degrees track temp. So I guess it could always be worse. But nevertheless, with these red tires on this road circuit, anytime you have the heat and you have one of these tracks like this, you're probably going to encounter heavy tire degradation. And so that is indeed a possible factor that will play out today. Again, only being 14 laps in, this is definitely one of the times when the tires are going to start going off. So right around that lap 11, 12, 13, 14 into the stint, or on the longer track somewhere around lap 7, lap 8, all of a sudden it's like like going off a cliff, and the tires just start losing their adhesion, and you have to play kind of some games with it a little bit to get it to come back right, and sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. So going back through the order here, we have or before we do that, I guess we have a note that we had before this incident, we had this incident with Stefan McCreadie going off from P6, and that is going to allow Cesar Manzato to move up into 6th position, much to the happiness of Catcher Kala over in the YouTube chat room. So then we have this later incident. Also, Severi Seppa got by Stefan McCreadie for 7th place. And then we have this incident from Kevin DeWinter, who spins it out, locks it up, has to spin it back around. Undoubtedly losing a couple of positions in that process. And it appears as though Laszlo Szabo has gone off track twice more. So, bad going to worse. Nevertheless, up 2 positions from where they were qualified. And also I see that Laura Gerhardt and Rob Unglenix are back in 21st and 22nd. So I did not see any notes up on the screen as to what exactly happened. But it does appear as though their race has been compromised in some way today. And so running in 3rd place, as we saw just a couple of minutes ago, Moritz J. Hengelhop has actually gained 2 positions, started 5th up to 3rd, and yeah, did a fantastic pass on Henry Bennett, had Mark Usher slide backwards and gift him a position, and now finds himself up into the podium spot in his debut here on VirtualRacing.Network's coverage of the 2021 IndyCar iRacing series. So we're going to start to see pit stops here probably coming up around lap 22. We'll have to wait another few laps until that happens. In the meantime, just a little bit further back, Henry Bennett. And by the way, in case you're curious at the lap time, since we've taken that off of the ticker, drivers now lapping in the 1:13 second range. So fastest lap in the 1:11s for Adam Crane, now lapping at 1:13.15. And pretty much a lot of the rest of the field lapping in the 1:13. So, yeah, it looks like some of the quickness has worn off at the front end of the grid, as everybody just perhaps struggling to hold on to their car at this point. Here we have Mark Usher coming back through the field after his earlier incident. Seems like that's a common thing that we're starting to say here, but he is super fast. I know because I've raced against him, and he is super fast anytime you're up against Mark. And won't be surprised if he can find his way back up into the top 5 before this is all over. And we have Another note regarding Laura Gearhart here. If you're a coffee drinker, you probably appreciate Laura's livery there. And Laura just, yeah, coming to a rest and then getting it going again. Fortunately, nobody really close behind. And so, yeah, not too much of a problem. Just lost a few seconds. So here's Cesar Manzato now, up 3 positions today, following Adam State, who is also up 3 positions. And Cesar is actually lapping slightly quicker. As I'm seeing that Stefan McCready is now in the pits. Not sure if that was a planned pit stop or what caused that. I do not have a note here saying, oh, this was an earlier incident. Perhaps this is what happened to Stefan. Have to see if there's any sort of actual damage here that gets to... Oh, and no damage. Definitely no damage unless it was to the under tray. So just one of those ones that's going to stay a little bit of a mystery. So Severi Seppa here in 7th, having picked up 4 positions. Now, let me also bring your attention to another driver. And by the way, I do owe... I was just going to bring up the Hard Charger Award, and I do owe my teammate over at Last Lap Motorsports, Dan Ench, a good shout out. He was our Hard Charger in the last race at Texas, so congrats to him. And right now, this race, we've already got somebody who's not only a Hard Charger, but our only B licensed driver in the entire field. The entire rest of the field, A licensed drivers, but Timothy, B license, and running excellently in 8th place here in this race, having gained 16 positions. 16 positions. Mark Usher having another issue. And what has happened here? Mark has dove under someone. That was through turn 1. And, oh, and it looks like it's clipped and sent off track, and numerous people slide by. So that is too bad. Looks like Mark slid all the way back to 14th. So lost about 4 positions off of that. So Mark not having a great day. Having to come back. And it appears as though Cesar Manzato is side by side with Adam State down the front straightaway, tagging the position into turn 1. Classic overtaking there. That's the that's also where we saw Moritz overtake Henry Bennett. And so Cesar Manzato up 4 positions. The Cesar Manzato fan club in the YouTube chat room, not overly vocal, but we know that they're there because they have said, go Cesar Manzato. So we'll just continue to see how his day will shape up as we reach, we're on lap 20 here. And so, again, I would just like to call attention to the fact that this is the highest strength of field race of the week thus far. And so, therefore, this has big implications as far as the championship goes. So this may be the highest strength of field that we get all week. That was the case last week. And so this broadcasted race is actually one of the most meaningful, if not the most meaningful, to the points race. So for somebody like Hugo Olsson to make up a position, and here we see Henry Bennett is into, I believe, has gone into the pits. I had to turn off my pit notifications because there were just a billion of them. Yeah, Henry Bennett has come into the pits here. Go back to the live footage. And so Henry Bennett taking service and rejoining in 18th place. So quite a ways back, but you have to keep in mind he may be trying to undercut and get the faster lap times hammered down here in the early part of the stint. See if he can overtake Moritz Hengelhaupt or possibly Hugo Olsson, as we see Hugo Olsson now entering the pits. So Hugo responding a lap later to Henry Bennett's pitting. And there we see Adam State also entering the pits. And so it's a question mark. And also, and as I mentioned, Hugo Olsson there is in the pits. Adam State, Severi Seppa in the pits. And so we'll have to see how everything shakes out and see whether Adam Crane decides to pit on this lap or not. I did... Axle Question, it appears as though has crashed again. This is... I want to go on to this, although Adam Crane now coming into the pits, someone has locks up a little bit. We'll just show you this replay because it appears as though this takes Axel Christian out of the race. Was running in the top 10. Oh, and on pit entry just has a terrible crash, and that is enough to end his race. So question whether that was intentional or not, but and Adam Crane now sitting on pit road taking his service, and that actually allows, we'll give him a little bit of screen time here, that allows Matthias Kraus, who has stayed out, to take over the lead. So Matthias, actually one of the top drivers in the championship, I don't have the numbers pulled up in front of me, but has been one of the front runners and done well in the series. And so Adam Crane comes back out in front, essentially the leader of the race, by 2.20 seconds over Hugo Olsson. Now Hugo, a lap fresher tires, so he's starting to reel off into that 2-second gap, but we'll see. Now that also puts, Hugo there. See if we can see up the road on board with Hugo there. And Matthias Kraus peels in to the pits, and Adam Crane retakes the lead. So it does not appear as though Henry Bennett was able to overtake Moritz Hengelhaupt before, but here he comes down the outside. And he overtakes, heading into turn 1. So that seems to be the absolute preferred position to overtake your opponent. And as you can see at the top of the screen, the gap now down to 1.8 seconds for the leader. So then we'll also have to see whether Henry Bennett has more pace than Moritz and can potentially reel in that 8-second gap to Hugo Olsson. But thus far, it is all Adam Crane, always has been this race. And we'll see if it continues, because don't look now, but Hugo Olsson is making a charge now 1.6 seconds back. And we'll have to see if Hugo has the pace. Hugo now has done the fastest lap of the race with a 1:11.56. So a full 0.2 faster than Adam's previous fastest lap. We'll have to, again, just wait it out. You guys got to wait it out. You can't predict these things, folks. But Adam Crane might just respond with his own fastest lap. And just as we were getting so used to seeing Henry Bennett there having overtaken Moritz J. Hengelhaupt. I mean, this is Henry Bennett, you know, one of the leaders in the Indy Road Open Series as well as the Elite Series. This is, and it's always amazing to see a driver come into the series who undoubtedly has a ton of talent and, you know, Moritz Hengelhaupt has a 4,224 iRating, so clearly Moritz knows what they're doing, but unfortunately, we're getting this news that, we didn't see the beginning of this. Rob Unglenix was running towards the back of the race, and now he is going to be out. So this is one of your championship leaders here. I believe Rob was in 5th in the championship, and this is just not the type of finish and the points that he needs to continue his march forward and his shot at the championship. Rob kind of putting in a great effort each week, but sort of the silent driver back there who's always, he's always that person that you see up at the top end of the results when it matters. And so he tends to do really well on points in the championship like that. But today, it's not his day. It is Adam Crane's day, though. And just to finish that point I was making earlier, it's just amazing to see that, like, for example, the ISOWC is just kicked off, and to see all of the drivers that are not common IndyCar drivers in that series doing so well and able to, for example, beat all of these champions. A driver who has not been participating in the Road Open Series in these Indy cars, and they're so difficult to really learn. I guess not if you're a super iRacing alien champion, and you can just step out of one car into another, but these cars are very complicated to set up and fully extract the most out of, and yet some drivers are just able to slip them on like it's another pair of shoes that you've had for 10 years. So congrats to Moritz, who is making a heck of a debut, rocking the Aero SP livery. Of course, Pato Award in real life, just winning Texas. So very relevant there. And continuing on, of course, we've got Adam State making a statement, being here in 5th place, up 3 positions on the day for him. So having quite a great day. Stefan McCready making a quiet move forward with 4 positions gained in 6th place. So, and just as I say that, Cesar Manzato says, I want 6th place. So they swap positions there. And Cesar Manzato also up 3 positions on the day as it gets a little overcast here. Sometimes that overcast does actually grip up the track just a little bit. I've noticed it. Even if the temperature doesn't change much, it can cool the track just a tiny bit. But you really want to watch that track temperature, and generally that doesn't come down very much unless it's getting towards the end of the day. So Cesar Manzato just really having a great race and looking good for championship points today. As we saw just behind, Luka Legovic crashing out of 8th place. Having a bit of a moment here. Oh, and just collecting. Oh, and Luka Legovic, unfortunately. There appears to be something very wrong with the car. Will not run. That's day over, going straight from 8th place to potentially day over, depending on whether that car can get fixed on pit road. Back live here with Adam Crane, lap 29 of 65. We're almost halfway through. And you are watching the 2021 IndyCar iRacing Series. This is round 4, race 2 of the Indianapolis Grand Prix. I am your host, Trevor Greenfield. You've been listening to my monotonous amateur broadcasting effort here on VirtualRacing.Network. But yeah, it's a volunteer effort, and I'm still learning the software. That's the excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Of course, I do want to thank those of you who are tuning in today from around the world. It's a pleasure. And currently there are, not including me, 10 people watching. So that's awesome. That is the largest number of viewers that we've had thus far. And again, you can share this link. And if you share it, even if somebody doesn't look at it immediately, as soon as they go to it, they'll see the recorded version of it. So also, while we're on the subject, feel free to like the video and subscribe over on YouTube. That way you get notified of the upcoming broadcasts, and I'll be going through after this race and setting up all of our upcoming broadcasts for the rest of the season. Now, I should let you know, I have decided, based on declining interest, we will not be covering the Sunday series any longer. The Sunday race, which is race number 5 of this series. We were doing 2 races a week. It was going to run into a little bit of a scheduling conflict for me, but I was going to adapt and change it to the morning race. However, the viewership and participation, as well as the strength of field, is much lower on Sundays. So in the future, perhaps if we do this series again next season, or in the future as we go forward and do other series, we will be paying attention, and we will want to do more than 1 race per week. But we're not going to continue that for this series. So therefore, all the effort will be on this particular broadcast and this time slot. So if you are out there thinking of racing and you haven't really been focusing on this time slot and you want to be in the broadcast, this is the one you should circle, the 1800 GMT or 11 o'clock Pacific time. And in the meantime, you get to go up against terrific drivers like Adam Crane here, who just really hasn't put a tire wrong. Has 5 pushes to pass left. No off tracks thus far. Neither does Hugo Olsson, and neither does Moritz Engelhaupt. So all 3 of the top drivers just not having any issues with off tracks or the cars getting loose or getting out from under them. And in the meantime, Hugo Olsson has also slid back a little bit. He was up to about 1.6 seconds at its peak. Now about holding even at 1.9 seconds, right around 2 seconds. So anything can happen in that small of a gap. Then behind, Moritz Engelhaupt has dropped 12 seconds back. So this is quickly turning into a 2-car race at the front. And you can see that Henry Bennett has not at all let go of Moritz. Henry, giving it his all, I'm sure. Probably not trying to, well, maybe trying to conserve a little bit. He did come in a couple of laps early. So let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick. I don't believe fuel stops are going to be the most crucial thing here. I don't think the pit stops are, but it is a very long pit road, and it does make a difference. As we see Henry Bennett again, Moritz tries to move to block. Henry moves inside. Moritz just doesn't really fight it too hard and actually backs out a little bit as Henry kind of goes a little deep into 1 and 2. I was thinking that might have opened it up a little bit for Moritz there, and you see that spot where it pinches up a lot. I thought maybe Moritz might have a go and punt off our championship contender here. So that's one of the things that you do have to consider, and doesn't really matter what series you're talking about. A lot of people are fighting for position in this series, in the championship, and so you're totally welcome to just join in, and if you have a high enough iRating, you can get into this split race. But just remember, please, that responsibility that a lot of these drivers are fighting for a championship, and if you're just going to one-off the series, that's fine. Just don't take out one of the contenders. That's I just saw that happen in another series, and I just thought I'd make that point since I'm the broadcaster here and I can do that. Just please, that's my PSA for the day. Back to the racing. Moritz Hengelhaupt here, having the race of that I would say is what he would want. Perhaps when he was up in third, he might have been happier, but still, to be in fourth place in his debut on a road course is a pretty good thing. Most people would take that. And it looks like, do we have maybe an issue with trying to see? Oh, I see Stefan McCready actually entered the pits is what happened. So yeah, Stefan had pitted quite early before. So in the meantime, let's take a look here. Oh, here we go. We can show you the pit strategy. There we go. And so you can see what lap they came in on before and how long they've been on their tires. Stefan McCready now coming back out, I believe in 16th. And it appears as though Moritz Hengelhaupt, these two just can't stop having this kind of battle. It's been back and forth all race. And both drivers giving lots of room here. It's always, like I said, it's always nice to see that. This is a lot of times what you get in not only the IndyCar series, but drivers of the caliber of these two, just giving space. You know, you want to make a pass, fine, hold it, stick it, okay, you can have that spot. I'm not going to fight you too hard. In the meantime, we have a couple of other notes. This Cesar Manzato, as the Cesar Manzato fan club in the chat room goes crazy, making a pass on Adam State down the main straightaway for 5th place. That is Cesar Manzato up 4 positions on the day. And still going. And we also had Willie Schaubauer. I'm just guessing what's going to happen here. I mean, oh, there you go. Just lost it. Just lost it. Got a little anxious to make that pass and was looking for a place, and I think it just got a little away from him. So we go back to live with Adam Crane, and again we look at the pit strategy. Adam Crane going 22, Hugo Olsson going 21. So then we would expect to see Hugo again on lap 42 and Adam on lap 44, potentially, or perhaps lap 43. And again, I have to say, Henry Bennett, you know, this is super important for the championship. Super, super important for the championship. Again, this race should be worth the most points, and so therefore, for Henry to get around Moritz, especially with Hugo, who in the championship points currently is behind Henry, he wants to minimize that points loss. And you see Moritz having a bit of a lockup in front. Don't know if that's going to allow Henry to close back up. It looks like he's drifted 0.6 of a second back. So, in the meantime, if we can just step back one more position. So we've got Cesar Manzato now has his work cut out for him now that he's gotten around Adam State. Looks like 6.9 seconds he's going to have to climb. However, because Henry and Moritz have been having their battles, scrapping back and forth, it's actually perhaps dropped their pace just a little bit by several tenths of a second per lap. And so Cesar Manzato, now lapping at 1:13.13, is actually one of our fastest drivers on the track. Who is our fastest driver on the track? Well, how about this driver, Timothy Bauman? Timothy Bauman currently a 1:12.97 that last lap. And aside from the Stefan McCready, who just came out on fresh tires and set a slightly faster lap, on used tires, Timothy is your fastest driver. So up 17 positions today. Going to be next to impossible for anybody to beat that one as far as the Hard Charger award. So we can also see that Max Wolf, while we were going through that, had another moment. And I don't think it's showing us the correct replay again. It's having this little glitch where sometimes it wants to hang up on the first time and not show the actual replay. I'll have to talk to SDK about that. I had another bug that they managed to, well, they're working on squashing at the moment. All right, so back up here to the front, it's Hugo Olsson. Just 2.6 seconds back from our championship leader, Canadian Adam Crane, and Swedish driver here, Hugo Olsson. He made sure that we got his information correct. Apparently the flag was showing incorrectly for the fact that he is from Sweden. So we have updated that on our side, hopefully, and I did see that in the grid results. And again, we're just learning, folks. I'm just learning how to customize a lot of this broadcasting software. So if you're a driver and you have the wrong flag, or if I'm just completely butchering your name, please make sure you let me know so that I can try and do it right in the future. And it will make a difference because, hey, for example, I listen to the Indy Road broadcasts. I try to pick up on how people's names are pronounced there, and so it carries over. So if you let us know, we can fix it there. Also, if you're doing a lot of races on that are broadcasted, you might want to know that you can actually go to SDK's website and download their driver information tool. And as soon as you join a session that you're in, you can then update your information with the tool. And Thomas talking in the chat room, yeah, there's a bug where Swedish drivers get a Norwegian flag, and so I've gone and manually overridden it on my side. And I don't know if you can update it on your side and it'll fix it, but I'm just letting everybody know, please do that. And if it is an issue, I'll make sure. My goal is to review every one of the drivers that are in this series, and I do have some plans to be able to hopefully introduce all of our audience members and the other competitors to the drivers a little bit more and let you know a little bit more about them. Here we go again. Henry Bennett and Moritz Hengelhaupt having ding-dong battle here, and as I mentioned, it is allowing for Cesar Manzato to close up ever so much, just down to 6 seconds now in that gap. Cesar reeling in a potential podium position if he could get around two different drivers. Henry Bennett there being overshadowed. Oh, I see Vilda's from Sweden as well. Thank you for letting me know. I do appreciate it. You're absolutely right. Vilda showing with the Norwegian flag. So, and Thomas Christensen. Okay, everybody, I'll go in there. I'll fix it. I promise. There's Vilda Wallen. Vilda from Sweden. Just thought I'd let you know. Yeah, actually, I will be going, as I mentioned, I will be manually going through and just spending the time updating all of the drivers in our championship. All of the top drivers, so that when it does show up on screen, it's correct. It's just a shame that for whatever reason, it's either the software or iRacing. And believe me, iRacing, there is just a lot of things that the broadcasting software cannot pick up. Also, as far as like with replays and things, you can't repeat certain elements. It doesn't work with the broadcasting software, so some limitations you have to work around, and yeah, it's all part of the fun. This is such emerging technology, and it's just so cool that we can do this. 26 different drivers. There were 70 some registered for this race overall, so 3 splits, and 26 drivers from literally around the world. Adam Crane here from Canada, Hugo Olsson from Sweden, Moritz Hengelhaupt from Germany, Henry Bennett from the UK, and there's Henry into the pits, taking the early pit stop as we had mentioned before. That allows Adam State and Timothy Bauman to move up another position. So we'll see how this works out for Henry, whether he can actually manage to undercut and get the advantage on Moritz, or whether he won't gain the advantage, which has pretty much been the case thus far. So Adam Crane we expect in a couple of laps. Hugo Olsson we expect this lap. And I want to take a look at this note. It looks like Matthias Kraus passes Severi Seppa, as Severi has an issue here and goes out a little bit wide. That just allows Matthias Kraus to slide up into 8th position, up 4 positions today. And we get back over to take a look at Hugo Olsson, who has now entered the pits. Chris Willite, who's actually a lap down, I believe, has also entered the pits. So this puts Cesar Manzato, with everyone else stopping, temporarily into 3rd position. And will Vilda overtake Hugo? It does not appear so, but Hugo, I believe, has lost some ground to Vilda, although Vilda does still need to pit, of course. So Vilda trying the overcut method, and we have Adam Crane into the pits, giving over soon to be the race lead to Moritz Hengelhaupt, unless Moritz also enters the pits. And Moritz does enter the pits behind Adam Crane, and that would have given over the lead to Cesar Manzato, but he also is pitting. So quite a busy pit road here. I don't know if any of our cameras do justice of it. It's not really a great camera. It's not very actiony, but oh, and there you see Adam Crane coming out next to a lapped car, and they give room. Thankfully for Adam, didn't have to fight them leaving the pits there. And I believe Vilda is probably entering the pits, because I'm seeing that Vilda has just been passed. So as everything shakes out here, it looks like Hugo has dropped a second with that pit stop exchange. Now, Hugo again on 1 lap faster tires. That could come down a little bit, but not looking great for Hugo with that exchange. That could be your championship difference right there, putting this race possibly out of reach for Hugo. But again, Hugo having gained a position, and at this point, we're waiting for Matthias Kraus to pit out of 3rd position, but that will in fact put Henry Bennett back up into 3rd. It's possible that Morris Engelhaupt has had an issue with his pit stop. And we're getting news also, Timothy Bauman having an issue going off track, is that right? Oh, that might have been the off track at that. Oh, there is the off track. And that allows a couple of drivers to get by. So, current running order is Adam Crane. We're getting multiple accidents at the same time here. Stefan McCready also has had another off. Laura Gearhart has gone off and come back on. And it looks like Willie Schaubauer was into the pits, and so many drivers got around. Here's Adam Crane going around a lap car. And so Adam Crane with 19 laps to go, still in control here. Hugo Olsson just 2.8 seconds back down the field. Of course, any sort of an issue as Matthias Kraus does pull into the pits. And that will turn over 3rd position to Henry Bennett, who that is not for position behind. I'm not sure who that was. I didn't catch the number on that car, but somebody was following Henry Bennett very closely there. And so, yeah, Moritz now 0.7 of a second back. Perhaps Moritz will not have given up that 3rd position. As we saw earlier, Moritz Engelhaupt having no issue whatsoever with trying to lay a move on the very experienced in the IndyCar Henry Bennett. And to report to the Cesar Manzato fan club in the YouTube chat room, unfortunately Cesar actually ended up losing a couple of seconds overall, and here is Moritz Engelhaupt going down the inside of Henry Bennett. Again, this is just something that Henry doesn't want, doesn't need. He needs those points so valuable. At the end of the season, this whole championship is just so close that every little point matters. So with 18 laps to go, we are closing it down here. It's only 21 seconds between Henry Bennett and Adam Crane, but it seems like it's been a million miles because Adam Crane has just not been challenged at all today. He has been the picture of perfection. We've seen Adam have an issue with pit stops before and get overtaken. Today, not a problem whatsoever. Still has 4 pushes to push to pass remaining, 0 off tracks. Our top 3 currently 0 off tracks, so you can just tell these drivers really feeling it, connecting with their cars, and doing quite well. Hugo Olsson 2 seconds back. What can be said other than Hugo continuing his challenge of this championship? Perhaps this will be for enough points to move him into 2nd in the championship. We'll have to wait and see on that. And of course, we'll have those points for you next week. Moritz Engelhaupt having a great race back into 3rd place, passing Henry Bennett. And it looks like Timothy Bauman, this was for 6th place just a moment ago. Adam State driving Timothy Bauman all the way down to the inside wall. Thinks better of it, doesn't want to see this end in tears, would rather have the 7th place finish. And Bauman, 18 positions gained on the day. Quite a day for Bauman. And of course, we don't want to forget about Cesar Manzato, up 4 positions, currently in 5th place. He's doing everything he needs to try to stay in the top 5 of this championship, or to get up into the top 5 of this championship, I should say. Timothy Bauman making his presence known in 6th, and Adam State has been a little bit higher in this race. Teammate to Adam Crane, the current series champion, current series leader, and Adam running a good teammate, 7th place, keeping Satellite Racing in the top 10. Vilda Wallen has also had an up and down day, sliding off a little bit, I think getting tapped, not so good, but recovering nicely, only down 2 positions from where Vilda qualified earlier, and so running in 8th, that's not too bad. Severi Seppa actually having a good day today. You can see that Severi has actually gained 3 positions. Bring out the battle box there, helps you to see this. I'm sorry, 2 positions on the day. And then we go back to Matthias Kraus, who I'm sure would like to be further up in the order, but nevertheless, getting the points today, continuing that march forward, and currently running in 10th, up 2 positions from where Matthias qualified. Willie Schwabauer has had a couple of off tracks, and if not for that, is down 4 positions, and may have gotten a top 10 today, but it's just going to be one of those races for Willie to say what could have been. Thomas Ziegler, meanwhile, a name that you see often in the IndyCar results and in the IndyCar races, doing their best, back in 12th, having gained 7 positions. And just as I say that, this pass coming on from Kazuhiro Shiba, who was a fixture, I believe, at our Barber race, making a move down the inside of Thomas, but backing out, thinking twice about it. Stay on this for just a moment longer. Kazuhiro is up 1 position. And as we're on board, of course, the curse. It happens once a race. We're on board with somebody and we're highlighting them, and they just have a moment. That was not a replay, folks. That was live. Oh my goodness. Broadcaster's curse is real. It's real. Dylan Reisel here. I haven't talked about Dylan too much. Is in 15th position and has gained a position today. Is just kind of running Dylan's race. And then we look back at Stefan McCready, who was up in the top 10 today, and unfortunately for Stefan, has had a couple of incidents and would like to forget how this race has gone, I imagine. Unfortunately, losing 6 positions from where they qualified. Max Wolf also having a couple of incidents today, running in 17th, but up 4 positions from where Max qualified. Chris Willite, oh, that was who, I do recognize that car and color. That was who's running so close up behind Henry Bennett not long ago, as Chris goes high, and that is, I guess, because he's a lap down, letting those cars go by. But that was a little close, it looked like to me, to the outside there. We're having notes that Laura Gearhart has had multiple off tracks, so once again, Laura just not having a championship day, unfortunately. Laszlo Sabo, oh no. And I think that one's broken. Yeah, that one isn't going anywhere. Or is Laszlo just sitting there? Okay. You know, sometimes you get some weird behaviors out here, so I just wanted to make sure we weren't going to see something a little crazy there. I think you know what I'm talking about. Kevin DeWinter also has had a couple of off tracks today. Probably not the race they would like, but 7 positions gained, so what can you do? You know, you have some incidents that you still come out better than you started. Laura Gerhardt, you know, I've seen Laura so many times up in the top 5. Not going to happen today, unfortunately. Norbert Leitner running in 21st place. And then I believe out of the race now is Laszlo Szabo, Luka Legovic, Rob Unglenix, Axel Christian, and Brian Molitor. So now we jump all the way back up forward, and 12 laps to go. It seems like it's the Adam Crane show here. We'll just, just put a little image of Adam's car down in the corner, and that way you can always tell who the leader is, because it's Adam Crane in that red, white, and blue livery. So Adam once again just really not having any issues whatsoever. And Hugo Olsson also holding steady pace to Adam Crane, never letting him out of his sight. Always, if Adam were to have an issue, Hugo is right in the exact position he needs to be in. He's far enough back that he can avoid the issue. So this is always... It's not like these guys are just sitting here with, as you see Hugo having to get around a lap car. A little tight there, but... And Hugo's struggling with the power application. So there, a lap car costing Hugo a little bit of time. Now the gap is back to 3.6 seconds. So here you can see some different detail on the different drivers. And we'll keep watching this battle that's still developing. Henry Bennett and Moritz Engelhaupt. Henry needs that position for the points. Cesar Manzato has closed the gap down to about 6 seconds to Henry Bennett, but it may be just a little too late for Cesar to be able to peel off the seconds. It is down to 5.8 seconds. Now getting down to 5.7 seconds, so it is closing quite quickly, but I don't know if it's going to be fast enough to catch this group. But as long as Henry and Moritz keep potentially even touching wheels, but certainly having quite a battle between them, it will cause them to slow down and will allow Cesar, who's now down 5.2 seconds back, to close in a little bit more, and we'll just keep watching that, because that does appear to be the closest battle on track, as we have Cesar 5.4 seconds now, and back from him Timothy Bauman at 2.8 seconds. And now, just as I was saying, count out Cesar Manzato, there's no way he can put in these laps. This gap has closed to 4.4 seconds, according to my timing and scoring. It is down to 4.47 seconds. You can see it there, full time in the corner of the screen. It's closing quite quickly, folks. It's just a question of when. And the same thing for this battle for the final podium position here, as Henry Bennett looks to do anything he possibly can to just find some sort of a gap, any sort of a gap, to take the position from Engelhaupt. But of course, the real issue is not getting around. That seems to actually be quite easy with the long draft on the front straight. It's keeping Moritz behind that's been the issue for Henry. So I'm sure that all of those earlier games of gentlemanry and gentlemanship and camaraderie and respect and distance and, oh, you know, here, you can have the position, I'll give you the position. I'm sure as we get down to the closing laps, all that will go out the window and the boxing gloves will come off, and we'll see how much Henry Bennett wants those points. Now, it is also championship minded to say it's not worth it for me in this particular situation to maybe try to go up against somebody who's as potentially as aggressive as Moritz or has the speed as Moritz. But thus far, Moritz Engelhaupt, again, this is a driver that presumably Henry has not been racing against very much, so you don't really know his tendencies that much, though in this race he obviously has had to get around several times. But it's been a very respectful exchange thus far. So from my racing standpoint, that is a person that I pretty much feel like I can trust on the last lap. If we race wheel to wheel, they're gonna try to keep us from wrecking, and so will I. But that doesn't mean that we can't go door to door. So we'll see. And by the way, did you see how fast that camera panned back there, folks? Over in the fan club for Cesar Manzato in the YouTube chat room, who nobody's been talking about it since the very beginning, but I'm going to keep referring to it as that. Cesar just 3.5 seconds back from Henry Bennett, and there Henry Bennett, whoops, we're going to go back to the live picture for Henry. Appears as though Henry has just gotten back around Moritz with that pass down the front straightaway. So that front straight has been where we've seen just, I think, every single track pass that we have covered today has been a pass with that drafting down the front straight. And so now the question is for Henry, and that was probably the best news of all for Henry, because what he would want if Cesar Manzato is going to catch them from behind, which Cesar very well might, is he would want Cesar to attack Moritz and take Moritz off of his hands as far as the championship goes. Obviously, from Moritz and Cesar's standpoint, they see it from totally different standpoint. They see it from a totally different standpoint. So this battle now closes down, and it is just 2.3 seconds up the road to Moritz, who is still all over the back of Henry Bennett. Meanwhile, Cesar Manzato right here, this battle is closing down. If you look up the track, there they are. down to 1.6 seconds. Cesar Manzato really picking up time here at the closing stages of this race. Will Cesar be able to catch Moritz, and more importantly, will he be able to pass Moritz? In the meantime, thinking completely of the Moritz program here, making the pass. We've seen this time and time again between these two, but unable to do it on the outside, unable to hold on, as Henry Bennett is now out of, is that right? Is now out of pushes to pass, with Moritz still having 3. So that is still something in Moritz's bag there. He can use that push to pass, and it's pretty indefensible for the last lap. So we'll see if that's what Moritz waits for. But they're creeping into that picture, folks. Right there on the outside, there is his car. It's Cesar Manzato. Look in your mirrors, Moritz. You've got someone to watch out for, because he's come this far. He's up 4 positions on the day, Cesar is, and I don't think he wants to stop after he closes that huge gap, over 6 seconds. At one point it was like 8 seconds back. And Moritz makes the pass again on Henry Bennett, and Henry holds tight. They go too wide through turn 2. Moritz gets it a little loose. Into the picture comes Cesar Manzato. Henry Bennett retakes the position. Just 3 laps to go. There's a 3.7 second gap between first place Adam Crane and Hugo Olsson in second. Meanwhile, here 26 seconds adrift of Hugo Olsson is this battle for third, and it couldn't be any closer, as it's not just Cesar Manzato, that's also Timothy Bauman. This is a 4-way battle now for third place with just 2 laps remaining. And it is literally anyone's battle, as these drivers have been challenging each other over and over again. Meanwhile, Cesar Manzato, Timothy Bauman have pretty much been running their own race back there and able to conserve or push as they wanted to. Getting news that Luka Legovic, and here, I apologize for missing it, but we're having Moritz Engelhaupt defending feverishly, blocking and cutting across the nose of Henry Bennett. I'm not sure about that one, but it happened and there was no contact. Absolutely, Tim, over in the chat room, this is one heck of a battle here for third place. Moritz Engelhaupt, Henry Bennett, Cesar Manzato, and Timothy Bauman. Timothy, our hard charger of the day. There, Henry Bennett with Cesar Manzato right behind. White flag for Adam Crane. Just 1 lap to go. As we see this 4-car train heading onto the front straight for the second to last time. I don't think Timothy is close enough to make a pass, but Cesar Manzato is. Manzato on his push to pass and moves past Henry Bennett. Henry losing valuable points in the championship. Does he back out? No. He goes wheel to wheel with Cesar. Cesar hangs it on the inside and locks up. Slides back a little bit. That drops Cesar Manzato to the back of the order. Timothy Bauman gets around, adding to his collection of IndyCars, now at 19. They're like little marks, like the front of a war machine. He's picking them off left and right, and it doesn't look like Timothy is done yet. He also is about ready to make his move. And meanwhile, Adam Crane comes across in first place. What a heck of a finish for him. Hugo Olsson also making himself known in the championship. as it appears as though Moritz Engelhaupt had a problem, potentially. I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but it's Moritz Engelhaupt still in third with Henry Bennett in fourth place and Timothy Baumann right behind. Will we get a pass coming to the line? Not close enough. So that will be your final order there, with Timothy Baumann coming in fifth, 19 positions gained. Cesar Manzato in sixth place. Adam stayed in seventh. And Vildo Wallen rounds it out in eighth. Matthias Kraus in ninth. And Severi Seppa, your final driver, in the top 10. What a race there at the end, with Moritz Engelhaupt having an amazing debut in the series, at least as far as our broadcasts are concerned, coming home with the podium position. Hugo Olsson now stopping on track. Hugo up one position and able to take crucial points away from our leader, or from our second place driver in the championship, Henry Bennett. So remains to be seen what we will see from Adam Crane here, whether we might see some donuts. He's ignoring the checkered flag to pull into the pits, pull into the start-finish line. And yeah, there you go. Hope the fans enjoy that burnout. So Adam Crane with the absolutely dominant victory today. Congratulations. And there was just nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing wrong with his performance. It was yet another master show by our series champion and our current series leader, who will extend his lead here, and most likely for this week, unless there is a higher strength of field, will keep that lead going into our next round, where it will be crucial. It will be the Indianapolis Oval. So this race, let's take a look at the final results here. Let's see if we can get this right. This software never comes up exactly right. Apologize for that. So there we go, the race results. And again, where these team names are, I will make sure that I try to get those updated myself. Of course, many of these drivers are not privateers. Adam Crane, Adam State, for example, are racing with Satellite Racing. If you want to update these yourself, please go into the SDK information and you can update this info. But here's your final race results here from the Indianapolis Grand Prix. It is Adam Crane with no issues whatsoever over Hugo Olsson. Hugo probably picking up points. And of course it says 0 points. They of course did receive points for this race. It is official. So we will have those points for you next time. Moritz Engelhaupt with a great debut, as mentioned. And then Henry Bennett is going to have to, he was talking ahead of time in the Discord. I don't think he was too happy with where his performance was this week, but he's hung in there. He's picked up good points. He's qualified very well, just not really having the pace to match either Hugo Olsson or Adam Crane. So he'll have to look at that afterwards and see if there's something that can be done. Timothy Baumann must be thrilled to have sliced and diced his way through the field. Again, another driver that has, it's a B licensed driver, But racing with, 3,668 iRating, it's not like Timothy doesn't know what he's doing behind the wheel, but quite amazing to be able to get 5th place. Cesar Manzato bringing with him a fan club of at least one to the YouTube chat room for VirtualRacing.Network. We appreciate it. And of course, he will continue to rise in the championship. Adam stayed in 7th, Vilde Wallen 8th, Mateus Kraus 9th, Severi Seppa 10th, Willie Schielbauer in 11th, Mark Usher in 12th. Mark, of course, has every capability to run up in the top 3. He knows that. He'll be back, and he will get one of those podium positions for sure in the near future. Thomas Zeger, Stefan McCready, Kazuhiro Shiba, Dylan Rizal, Max Wolf. So we go forward to the final page, potentially. There we go. Max Wolf, Chris Willite, Laura Gerhardt, Norbert Leitner, Laszlo Sabo, who gave us more than our share of on-screen action. Thanks, Laszlo, most featured driver. Luca Legovic, Kevin DeWinter, Robin Glennox, Axel Christian, Brian Molitor. Thank you, and thanks to all of the competitors who have made this race and this series so interesting and come out and make challenges as you've just seen today. Yes, you can be someone like Adam Crane and do quite amazingly well and do it week in and week out. And you can also be somebody who is just very skilled, like Moritz Hengelhaupt, who came out today. I've never seen Moritz in another IndyCar race myself, and he ended up in 3rd place. He took the podium. So quite an amazing day for a number of different reasons, and congratulations to our podium finishers. But most congratulations goes to our winner, Adam Crane, who takes the most points and extends that lead. So let's just take a look at the remaining schedule here so that we can see where we're headed next. So we have, of course, as I mentioned, we have the Oval coming up next. That is, to nobody's surprise, going to be truly special. I believe I'm covering that. I have not been informed otherwise that there was another broadcasting group doing it, so I guess we'll be covering that race. That'll be really special for me. And then we, of course, have Detroit, bumpy street circuit, Road America, very classic fan favorite, and Mid-Ohio. That rounds out the first 8 races. So very heavy on the road courses this season, as is the Real Life Series. And then we take a look at the back half of the schedule. We have the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Sonoma Raceway, and again revisiting the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road circuit, this Grand Prix circuit again, as the Real Life Series does. Then Worldwide Technology, the Oval Gateway, Road Atlanta, which is just a great track. It just got an update, so that'll be exciting. Laguna Seca, one of the most classics on the IndyCar circuit. And then finally, Long Beach, which will be a street course race that has seen so much action and is brand new for this year. So it's going to be a great rest of the season. Do make sure that you join us. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and like this video, and you will get notifications of our upcoming races. Circle Fridays at 11 o'clock Pacific time or 1800 GMT. We'll be doing all of the broadcasts. So once again, I'm Trevor Greenfield. I appreciate all of you joining us and watching from around the world. This has been 2021 IndyCar iRacing Series at the Indianapolis Grand Prix, race number 2 of the week. And once again, I will see you next time.